Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of LA Noire. We're continuing from where we left off, and if you guys enjoy this series, please do drop a like. Let's continue here.
Well, you picked the right place, Cole. A city that needed an honest cop like a thirsty man needed water. You'd heard the stories, but you weren't interested. You were here to fight the good fight, solve cases, right wrongs. But the force is like politics. There's no sitting on the fence. You have to choose sides. A brown paper envelope or a Greyhound ticket to Palookaville. It could only ever end one way.
All units to 211 in progress and shots fired at Westlake Savings and Loan, 1415 West 3rd Street. Unit to handle identifying code 3.
We'll take that. It's only a couple blocks from
14
here.
Adam calling KGPL. We'll handle the 211.
Roger that, 14 Adam. Be advised, suspects are armed and dangerous.
Roger, KGPL. 14 Adam en route.
I think this is actually a bank robbery. Pretty sure that's what it is.
Make it quick, you guys. The cops are here. We gotta move it.
Find some cover!
I'm also playing free aim.
To the front door. Keep your goddamn head down. Use the cover, Phelps. We don't know how many are in there. Your move, mister.
Stay down!
Damn.
Stay in cover!
Ooh.
That's it? We got them all? I think we got them, Cole. Should be all clear. Lieutenant Hopkins says anytime you reach for the shotguns, you're either going to end up dead or wearing a citation. So I guess...
It's okay, Ralph. You did well in there. I'm glad you had my back. Man couldn't ask for a better partner.
Oh, this is the World War II flashbacks.
This kind of opportunity comes along once in a lifetime, Hank. I have to grasp it.
You have to survive at first, Cole. Here are the veterans. The Japs love to shoot officers.
If I can make a name for myself in this war, my future...
Thinking of taking on a company of the Emperor's finest single-handed? You don't seem the Sergeant York type to me.
When I need your opinion, Kelso, I'll ask for it.
They talk about officers like you in boot camp, Cole. They call it the Custer syndrome. Guys who go around dreaming of fame and glory and getting all of their men killed in the process.
Our duty is to lead, Kelso.
And their duty is to die for your wonderful future?
Yeah, so about General Custer.
Cole Phelps and Jack
I'll
Kelso.
talk about that in a moment here.
With some people, it's as simple as chemistry. Two guys who should...
Yeah, so about General Custer is General Custer was an American general that him and his army had gotten wiped out at the Battle of Little Bighorn, which I think the Battle of Little Bighorn that happened in the 1870s and that happened in like Montana. Basically, I know that Grant was the president at the time, Ulysses S. Grant, but Custer had a few Native American allies with him, and he was going to go and He was taking the American army, and he was going to go fight another tribe. I forget what tribe he was fighting against, but he was fighting against a Native American tribe, and he was going to go up a mountain. And the Native American allies that he had with him told him, don't go up the mountain because they're going to ambush you up there. Like, there is a lot of them up there. They're going to surround you. They're going to destroy you. They're going to wipe you out. But Custer is all like, no, I'm a very smart general. We got guns. We got firepower. We'll be able to take care of anybody that, attacks us. No problem. Custer didn't listen to to his Native American scouts, and what ended up happening is that other tribe surrounded them, wiped them out. They all ended up dying. Custer was a bit of a scumbag as well. He got all of his men, he got all of his men killed. He was a bit of a warmonger as well, and that's what they mean when they say the General Custer syndrome. Is they say that it's basically an officer that's going around looking for fame and glory, doesn't care about getting his men out alive, is just there just for his own, just for himself. And the way that Cole was talking about it, Cole didn't seem very patriotic to me. He seemed very, I would say, self-interested, very, his ego was just going through the roof. It's like, oh, I gotta take my promotion seriously, it's all about me, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, your country just got attacked by the Japanese during Pearl Harbor. You're going to defeat the enemy that attacked your country. You're doing this for your country, you're serving your country, and you're trying to help your men get through the war. That's basically it. You're not there to, get fame for yourself, but he didn't seem to understand that. And that's basically one of the moral lessons of L.A. Noire, is that, Cole was a very terrible military officer, but when it came to being a police officer, he was actually a pretty good cop. So so it goes to show that everybody's good at something, and people are also all bad at something as well.
Friends, but their personalities got in the way. Phelps, a good guy, wound way too tight. And Kelso, a quiet man who could never walk away from a fight.
Well, it's a shame you don't like to talk about it, Cole.
Ralph, friends who want to stay friends don't discuss religion or politics. And in my case, you can add the war to that.
I know that bum. Wendell Bowers. I put him away before. He jumped parole. Get after him, Phelps. I'll head him off in the car.
Wendell Bowers! Stop! LAPD! You can go screw yourselves. Why, you... He's hiding in the air!
You automatically, oh crap. You automatically climb in this game.
Bowers! Hold it right there!
Stop now or I will shoot. I won't tell you again, Wendell.
Jesus, Dunn! Watch your fire!
Yeah, you... Oh crap. No, that's not...
Get down from there right now.
He's already all the way at the top, man. This guy's quick.
Give it up, Wendell!
Stay the hell away from me!
So here's the thing about this, is police officers are not allowed to actually shoot at fleeing suspects. A lot of people don't know that. People think that cops can actually shoot fleeing suspects. They actually can't. This was a very different time period, so stuff like this would be way more common. But
I've done my time.
Oh crap. The only time that the police can really shoot at a fleeing suspect is when that suspect is armed and possibly dangerous. But if the suspect is not armed and just running away, cops can't shoot at him. They can't do that.
Give it up, Bowers! There's nowhere left to go!
Looks like we've got the place to ourselves. Come on.
How you doing, Wendell? Your parole officer's feeling lonely. He's got a hole in his life for an asshole like you. You can make it up to him in 10 years' time. Watch your head. This hump will be back in the Iron Hotel by tomorrow night. Nice work, Cole. You run track in high school?
Part of the tradition of the Marine Corps and being an officer in the Marine Corps is the ability to make tough decisions. The right decision is not always the popular one. The right decision will get the men you care about killed. These ratings and your ability to give them frankly and truthfully directly affect your chances of successfully becoming a Marine officer. Candidate Phelps, you have the floor. Esprit de Corps, Merrill, 10. Franklin, 8. Weiss, 8. Donahoe, 6. Kowalski, 6. Hudson, 5. Kelso, 2. Leadership, Donahoe, 8. Franklin, 7. Merrill, 6. Kowalski, 6. Weiss, 5. Hudson, 5. Kelso, 1. Candidate Kelso!
I'm sorry, Captain, but I joined the Marine Corps to fight the enemy, not get involved in this schoolboy chicken shit.
Kelso, in my office, now!
For every cop, there's the case that makes you. Gives you that leg up. Gets you recognized as the shining new star in the squad. The case that you solve that shows that you have the gumption, the gung-ho, the get up and go to make you stand out from your average rank-and-file patrolman. This could be the one, Cole.
LAPD, could you stand clear of the body, please? Has anyone
Yeah,
called
this
an
stuff
ambulance?
happens in real life, too.
We've called an ambulance and the police, but I'm afraid he's dead.
Okay, stand further back and move along. It's your choice, but make it quick, people.
Hey, Cole. You got here quick.
My beat crosses 7th Street.
Okay. You're first reporting then. We'll get a perimeter going and move the crowd on. You better see what you can find out before the homicide dicks show up. I'll be with you in a moment.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say
Everybody
is this
stay
is
back. Let us do our
this is
job.
realistic, where you find there are people out there, like, as long as there's no active threat, no active shooter, that people will actually group up around a body and stare like that. People will actually do that. People are stupid. And big cities like, you know, LA, Chicago, San Antonio, Houston, New York, you know, these big cities, they are notorious for the fact that when something bad happens, and New York, I think, has the worst reputation with this, when something bad happens, somebody's getting jumped, you know, somebody's getting attacked, what tends to happen is that people don't call the police. And you're probably wondering, if there's so many people, why don't they call the police? The reason they don't call the police is because basically everybody's like thinking like, oh, it's not my responsibility to call the police. Like, you know, somebody else will do it. And then the other person's thinking, oh, somebody else will call the police. And then they keep thinking that, and nobody ends up ever calling the police. And so that's why people don't get involved. Something is over here. Oh, yep. Here we go.
Shell casings. These look like 32s.
Okay. So, the fact that there's shell casings, we already know we're dealing with a semi-automatic pistol, because a revolver is not going to eject the rounds, at least not automatically. You manually have to take them out.
Broad daylight, crowded street. Now I've seen everything.
All right. Yes, it's a dead person.
Nothing. Bank of Arcadia, 1412 West 3rd Street, Westlake. Name C. Galetta. Apartment 5, 1108, South Broadway, pearl earrings, $52.50. That's actually worth a lot of money back then. $52 is a lot of money back then.
C.
Layaway
Galetta.
bouncer.
Layaway receipt. Pearl earrings. Made out to Bank of Arcadia.
You know, I'm just cringing though at like Cole, like you know, just getting his fingerprints on everything, just contaminating the crime scene, because this would never happen in real life today. Like, you would never see, you would never see something like this, by the way. He's just getting his fingerprints on everything. Just basically contaminated the crime scene really badly. I don't think there's anything else left for me to find, is there? Ed. I remember actually where the gun is in this case. Gun's gonna be right here.
Don't you people have anything
Is that a
better
Browning?
to do?
FN Browning.
Yup, it's a Browning.
Serial number 01138.
And FN is a Belgian gun company, I'm pretty sure about that. The thing about that is the FN company still exists today, so this gun company actually still exists today. They are, if anybody's ever played the Call of Duty games, you know the P90? The FN is actually the people who made the P90. Okay. And another thing I'll say about this is, this is also realistic, because you would be surprised how stupid some criminals are. Is like, criminals will commit a murder and they'll throw like the murder weapon, the knife, the gun, the bat, in like a garbage can just a few blocks away from the murder, or even like right next to the murder. Criminals think that police are not going to look for that. They think that police aren't going to check all the garbages that are around. Criminals basically think the police are stupid. But that's one of the first things the police do when there's a murder. They check literally all the garbage cans, all the dumpsters that are like right around the scene.
Can I help you, sir?
Oh, this is his,
I'm
his
Officer
store.
Phelps, miss. I'm here about the shooting. Did you know the victim?
He was my boss, Mr. Gage.
Mr. Gage's first name.
Everett.
And you are?
I also remember who the killer is in this case.
Clovis Galleta.
Clovis Galleta, shoe store clerk, eyewitness to murder of Everett Gage. Okay. So this is the hardest part of LA Noire, is trying to figure out if people are telling you the truth or not.
You think you could tell me exactly what happened, miss?
I look around the shops at lunch. I was in a store when Mr. Gage, my boss, bursts in yelling that I'm late on my lunch.
And?
We came back. I was angry. I walked in front. I heard shots. I turned and saw Mr. Gage fall.
If you think the witness is lying, you have proof. Choose accuse. Okay. Also, as ridiculous as this is, when like people go like this and that, like when they're looking around, like people don't do like that quickly, but people will like look away from the police, like they'll look away like this, like they'll just be looking. And the most noticeable thing is when they look at the floor. And here's the thing: is one of the easiest ways the police know when somebody is lying to them when they're talking to them, even when they have no evidence, is if the person is not maintaining eye contact. That's a very easy way. Now, it could mean one of two things. It could mean either the person's nervous around the police, that's a huge possibility, or it could mean that the person is lying. But here's the thing: if the person does not keep eye contact with you, and they're like looking at like the wall, or like they're looking at a ceiling, and they're like telling you, oh, well, I saw the killer like, you know, over here, and, you know, stuff like that, and they're like looking at a wall or a ceiling and stuff like that. The reason that they're looking away from you, they're not looking directly at you, is because they're trying to imagine something that didn't happen. They're making up a fake story, and so they cannot keep eye contact, they can't keep concentration directly on you, and so they're looking at something, you know, like a wall or a ceiling, just so that they can focus on creating that image in their head, that story that they're creating. Okay, we're gonna, look at here, shooting. Oh, and that's the song from Fallout. You hear that song that's actually playing in the background. That's actually crazy. Hope I don't get a copyright claim for that. I hear it. FN Browning model. Okay. Accuse.
You're lying, Miss Galleta. You know what happened and why. You're going to tell me.
There's nothing to tell. I've done nothing wrong. How can you prove different?
The voucher.
Your pearl earrings, Miss Galleta. You've been paying for them for a whole year. Stop lying and tell me what happened at the jewelry store.
Oh, God. I won't lose the earrings, will I?
You could lose your freedom,
my God,
you little fool, if you don't stop obstructing a murder investigation.
Mr. Kalou. Edgar Kalou. He runs the jewelry store. He's showing me a lovely watch. Mr. Gage bursts in. Mr. Kalou gets very angry with Mr. Gage, and they start yelling at each other. Mr. Gage tells me that all of the things in the store are junk, nickel-plated, made in Japan, and yells at me to get back to work.
Then what happened?
We get back here, and I hear a loud bang. Mr. Gage clutches at his back. I hear another bang, and another, and another. Mr. Gage falls to his knees. It looked very painful.
That doesn't look like it doesn't look like she's lying. Everything she said there was pretty much spot on. I'm pretty sure. Possible murder suspect. Okay, let's see.
Which jewelry store?
Hartfield's. Broadway, between 5th and 6th.
Did you see the person who shot Mr. Gage?
Of course I did. Mr. Kalou looked very angry. He kept firing the gun. He kept pulling the trigger. He threw the gun in a bin and turned and walked away.
If you think the witness is lying, but you lack proof, press square to act as a bad cop. Okay.
You're making me angry, Miss Goleta. Is that what you want? Tell me why Mr. Kalou shot Mr. Gage.
Mr. Gage hates Jews. A lot of people do. It's not my fault if he has nice things.
That's the motive right there. Details of shooting. Okay.
How many shots did you hear, Miss Goleta?
It's difficult to remember. It sounded like there were so many, and they were so loud.
Yeah, so the thing is, though, is most of the time, people are actually not going to remember the amount of gunshots that happen. If it's like one shot, they'll probably remember it. 1 or 2 shots. But if it's like, you know, a number of shots, like a guy emptying an entire semi-auto pistol into somebody, they are not going to remember that. Because it's like the second anybody hears that, they're just going to duck for cover. They're not going to, you know, just trying to count the amount of bullets. Good cop. Okay.
I need you to concentrate, Miss Goleta. Even minor details can become important later on.
Well, there was one bang, and then another, and then 3 very quickly, close together. 5.
Thank you for your help, ma'am. You've been very brave. We'll need you to make a formal statement about what happened to Mr. Gage.
Does that mean I can still collect my... Never mind. Yes, officer, I'll make a statement.
Send intuition points, name, location to detect clues and evidence. I completely actually forgot about that. I didn't even remember that.
We have the murder weapon.
And the murderer. The girl saw it all. Our killer works at a jewelry store called Hartfield's.
That's a couple of blocks from here.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Tate, maintain the perimeter.
Okay, let's go pick up Mr. Kalou then.
What the hell's going on?
First, let's go to the gun store. We're gonna want to get as much evidence as we can against the person. Well, what the hell? Is that a glitch? Okay, 2 cars are in one. Okay, go. Come on, people. Okay. Sorry, scratching your car. I gotta get through. It's police business. Okay.
Officers, what can I do you for?
Officers Phelps and Dunn, sir, Wilshire Division. We need you to trace a serial number.
Sure. What's the make and model?
FN Browning, model 1922. The serial number is 01138.
You don't say. Well, I didn't sell it. Europeans love them, but it's pretty rare you find one over here. Although I did have one in here a couple of weeks back.
Remember the owner?
Yeah. Kalou. Edgar Kalou was his name. Thing looks like he'd never been fired, but he brought it in here for cleaning anyway. Then he bought a box of cartridges and he left.
Do you know where we can find Mr. Kalou?
Told me he was on his lunch break. Said he worked at Hartfield's jewelry store just up on Broadway.
Thanks for your help.
Okay. Murder weapon serviced. Okay, so we have that. We have the gun ties directly to Kalou. We have an eyewitness pretty much at the scene, you know, spotting Kalou. So literally Kalou's finished at this point. Locations. Yep. Kalou's done. Okay, well, nope.
Officer, can I interest you in a new watch?
Officer Cole Phelps, are you Edgar Kalou?
No. Mr. Kalou is out back. He said he'd lie down. I'll buzz him for you.
Yes, yep.
Son of a bitch! Go, Cole, go!
He's...
No way!
Kalou, get back here!
No, stop, in the name of the law.
Stop or I will shoot!
Yeah, you are not. No. You're not gonna shoot a gun in the air like that. No.
Edgar Kalou,
No.
you're under arrest for the murder of Everett Gage.
In a crowded place like LA, it's a horrible idea. Absolutely horrible. You don't know where that bullet is gonna land.
The case that makes you, and the case that breaks you. The one you never solve. The one that keeps you awake at night. The case that gnaws at your guts and ruins your marriage. The case that keeps you propping up a bar as you relive the what-ifs, the might-have-beens, the half-leads, and the half-truths. The case that other cops murmur about whenever you walk past. The case you never, ever discuss.
God's mill may grind slowly, but it grinds finely, son. I hear it's you who nabbed our malefactor from the shooting yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Then tell me, boyo, I hear you're quite the climber, a man of initiative. How would you like a chance at smiting this man with the sword of justice?
You're asking me to conduct the interview, sir?
I am, young Phelps. You've only been with us a short time and you've assembled yourself a stellar arrest record. Not to mention the fine work you did in the war, sending heathens back to the hell they came from. But I'm curious as to whether you can turn your hand to interrogation. Takes a certain animal cunning, lad. Do you think you might be ready for that?
Yes, sir. I think I am.
Good man. You need many things for a conviction, young Phelps. A motive, opportunity, hard evidence, and best of all, a confession. If you fail in the former, you can always use a modicum of violence to obtain the latter. How are you feeling, lad?
Fine, sir.
Very good. The evidence is overwhelming. May the cat eat him and the cat be eaten by the devil. Bring me a confession, young Phelps. This is your chance. Don't fail me.
The, what I will say about this is it's, this isn't entirely true what he said
see my lawyer.
A lawyer can't help you, Mr. Kalou. You shot a man dead in cold blood. You're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, so this is a very different time period. What is this? Oh, you can actually look back at, like, what people have said. Oh, okay. Okay, so this actually could be helpful, because I could just look at what suspects are saying and then try to see if I think it's a lie. But, what I was basically saying is, two things. First of all, in today's day and age, is if a suspect is in, interrogation room and they say, I want a lawyer, you have to stop the interview. You can actually not, you cannot go further because anything at that point is not evidence that can be submitted in court. So literally when somebody says, I want a lawyer, the police actually cannot question him anymore at that point. So when he says, I want my lawyer, and he's like, a lawyer can't help you. No, you can't do this. But this was a very different time period. It's like 1946, 1947. The Miranda rights didn't even come out yet. The Miranda rights, that was in the 1960s. And the Miranda rights, what the Miranda rights was, is correct me if I'm wrong, the criminal in that case was actually Miranda. That was actually the guy who committed the crime. And I think he was accused of rape. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he attacked a woman. I think that's what he did. But anyways, what happened is they took the case to trial, and then Miranda had actually argued that the police had actually not read him his rights before questioning him. That he didn't have a right to remain silent and all of his other rights, and so he at that point I think they had to redo the trial, and I don't remember whether he got convicted or not, but I remember that's basically what it was. He argued that the police didn't read him his rights, and that basically became the standard everywhere for interrogations, interviews in the United States. And also the police, another thing I'll say, the police don't, when you see those movies, like those TV shows like Law and Order, and like they arrest somebody like on Law and Order, and like the second that they cuff the person, they're like, you have a right to remain silent, anything you can or say will be used against you in a court of law. Police do say that, but they actually don't say that when they put their handcuffs on you. So when they put their handcuffs on you, the police aren't really going to say that most of the time. The police actually say that when they question you. So if they literally arrest you, like you get arrested by a cop, the cop isn't going to say, you have a right to remain silent, anything you can say, like right when he arrests you. He's going to say that when he questions you. So when he questions you, that's when he's going to say that, not when he's putting handcuffs on you. The other thing is, when the captain is saying, oh, you need a motive, you need a confession, motive, confession, and hard evidence. Hard evidence is actually probably the most important thing, because I would argue that hard evidence is more important than a confession. And the reason people would say, what? But isn't a confession the person admitting to it? The reason I consider hard evidence more important than a confession is because you might not have evidence at all, and the person could confess to the crime, and they might not even do that because they might be protecting somebody else. So if you have hard evidence that directly ties them to the crime, and you get that confession is that extra nail in the coffin at that point where that person's done at that point. But you don't always need a confession, but I personally believe that hard evidence is always the most important thing because, like I said, a confession, a person can lie about it. And a person might actually confess to something like smaller, for example, just to avoid getting charged with something bigger. Like they might be involved in a bigger crime, and they might confess to a smaller crime, thinking that they're not going to get charged with a bigger crime. So that the police aren't going to look at that too. That's also a thing. Is there anything else I wanted to miss? Yeah, so you can actually convict somebody without a confession. That's one thing that people get wrong, is people think that you need a confession, that the person needs to admit to the crime in order to convict them. No, you actually don't. A confession greatly helps, but you actually don't need a confession in order to convict them of the crime. So if you have enough evidence, you can, put the person away. You don't need a confession. You don't even need the motive. The motive is why they committed the crime. So even if there's no motive, you can still put the person away. If there's no motive and there's no confession, it gets a lot harder to convict the person. But with hard evidence, you can always, tie the person in. But there's also two types of evidence. There's circumstantial evidence, and then there's direct evidence. Direct evidence is more like when you have an eyewitness statement. Maybe you catch the person on camera. Maybe you have the person's fingerprints. A circumstantial evidence is more where it can be used against somebody in court, but circumstantial is more like, I'm trying to think of like an example. It would be like, for example, like you drive a red car, like a red sports car, and there's a murder in the neighborhood, and the killer drove a red sports car, and you happen to be in the exact same neighborhood driving a red sports car. That is circumstantial evidence against you, not direct evidence. There could have been somebody else driving a red sports car in that exact neighborhood because you were driving a car that matched the murderer's car in the exact same neighborhood the murder happened. That can be used against you as circumstantial evidence. So it's not direct, but it's basically circumstantial evidence is more evidence that suggests that the person could possibly have some involvement in. Direct evidence is more evidence that directly ties the person into the crime. Okay, so let's do this interview here. Argument with Gage. Okay, jewelry store owner and murder suspect Edgar Kalou, age 39. Okay, let's do it here.
You followed Everett Gage and the girl back to the shoe store. You put 5 rounds in Gage's back.
Gage was a bastard. Whatever he got what was coming. But it had nothing to do with me.
It had nothing to do with me. Use intuition. No, I don't need that. Accuse.
You shot Gage, and we know why. We can put you at the scene.
You can't prove anything.
Suspect positively identified. Store clerk testifies to Kalou shooting Everett Gage after a heated argument. Yep, right here.
We know all about the argument. Miss Goleta made a statement.
You're counting on the girl? You think her testimony is going to stand up in court?
You're going to the gas chamber, Edgar.
That Jew-hating fuck couldn't leave me alone. I had a sale. That girl was ready to buy.
Possible religious motive. Okay, let's see.
Let's change the subject. You fasting for Yom Kippur, Mr. Kalou?
Yeah, let's change the subject, you going motherfucker. How about baseball?
You're not denying you're a Jew, Mr. Kalou.
This is America. It's not Germany. It's not a crime.
Some people don't like Jews, Mr. Kalou.
Yeah, and I guess you're one of them.
Gage hated Jews, didn't he, Mr. Kalou?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right here. Yep, we got evidence here. Possible religious motive too. Accuse.
You're lying, Kalou. I think you lent Gage money, and he owed you payment.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, hang on.
You don't ask, you never find out.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me see here. And also another thing is, this is a big no. Is you typically are not going to ask somebody their religion, so like you are not going to bring that up in an interrogation. Is you're not going to bring up like religion. In this case, like in this case, what's the murder victim's name? Is Gage. So Gage was an anti-Semite, and Gage said extremely offensive and racist things towards him. So it is kind of relevant, you know, bringing up the religion in this case. But again, is typically you are not going to really bring up religion in a case. Typically you're not going to talk to a suspect about that. Let me see here. And let me just see one more time. What did he say? I don't know what you're talking about. I think you lent Gage money. He owed you payment. That's not what happened. Bad cop.
You left-wing leaning parasite. You expect me to sit here and listen to your drivel?
What did he just say?
You call me that? You sit there and you call me those names, you goddamn goy putt snatcher? You and that stup Gage!
Why did you do it, Mr. Kalou?
Gage. He's in the Chamber of Commerce. He's in with all those momsers. He blocked every proposal I ever put forward. Kike this and kike that. He's been trying to ruin my business for years.
Edgar Kalou, I'm charging you with the first-degree murder of Everett Gage. I respect your beliefs and your right to hold them. I hope for your sake the jury can commute to murder in the second degree. May God have mercy on you, sir.
Also, one of the, and I'm sorry for laughing there, guys. I just don't know, like that was just so out of nowhere. It's like you just saying you left-leaning parasite. It just came out of nowhere. I was like, what? Like I don't even remember that line. So it was just one other thing I was gonna say is this is what we call like a I think is it crime of passion? I think that's what it was called. I'm pretty sure it was crime of passion. Let me just look up really quick what crime of passion is, but I think this was a crime of passion. Let me just see. Yes, this is a crime of passion, so I was right. Okay, yeah, because I learned about this in school a long time ago. That's what I went to school for law enforcement technology. But I just wanted to make sure I had my definition right here. Basically, this entire murder is a perfect example of a crime of passion. What a crime of passion basically is somebody will get really angry at somebody in a heated argument, something bad that is happening, and they will, they have like, impulse and anger, jealousy, a lot of other things, and they will kill the person. Now, this is not to be confused with manslaughter is both of them. Technically, a manslaughter and a murder can both be a crime of passion, but the difference is, and this is what people get wrong a lot of times, is a murder is a planned killing, when you plan to kill somebody. A manslaughter is just a spur-of-the-moment killing. So it's either you were negligent and because of your recklessness, you caused somebody's death, or you intentionally caused somebody's death, but it wasn't planned. Like, a perfect example of, like, a manslaughter, for example, would be, like, two guys arguing in a bar. And what happens is, they get into a drunken fight, and one of the guys punches the guy so hard in the face he kills him. That is like an example of a manslaughter. He wasn't planning on murdering anybody that day. He was just a manslaughter. It's a moment, a crime just happened. He ended up killing somebody, but it wasn't like a planned killing. This is a murder because if the situation happened right there at the jewelry store, if the situation happened right there at the jewelry store, maybe you could have argued that it was a manslaughter. But because Gage left and went back to his shoe store, and then Kalou took the gun, and then went over to the store and just shot the guy, that is a murder. He took the gun, he walked over there, he was planning on doing what he was doing, it's a murder, he planned it out. And the thing about this is, Gage was a scumbag, he was a horrible person, he was an anti-Semite, but Gage didn't deserve that. So, you can't kill somebody because, they're being racist. So that's, it's, the thing about Kalou is, I don't know, maybe Kalou wasn't a bad person, maybe he wasn't, but in that moment, it was just, he just let the anger take over him, and he ended up killing somebody. If he would have just calmed down, and he would have just thought about it, he's like, I don't, this guy, I don't have to deal with this guy, he just left my store, let me just calm down, maybe let me have a coffee, let me sit down, it would have just all been over. But this guy was, attacking him, attacking his religion, and he got really pissed off, and also he ruined his sale. He got mad, he went over there, he wasn't thinking, and now he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, or he's going to get the death penalty. But he's probably going to get life in prison. He's probably not going to get the death penalty for that, but it would probably be life in prison. So lost his business that he worked for his entire life, and lost his freedom over such a stupid mistake. And the lesson here is that literally you can is that like not every single case like you see in the movies is like black and white, where it's like somebody completely innocent person that dies, and like the killer is like some evil, really cold-blooded, horrible person. In this case, like you can make the argument that Gage had provoked the crime. He provoked it, but it was but he still didn't deserve to die. You can't just go over and you can't kill somebody for being racist towards you. But like I said, is most of these crimes, these situations happen in real life, situations just like this. And what my teacher always said, my professor in college, what he always said is, he said, calm down. That's what he said, is calm down, think. Calm down and think. That's what my teacher said. Because when people get angry, they don't think when people get angry. And they do stupid things that they are going to regret for the rest of their lives. So stuff like that pretty much happens. People don't think. People don't calm down. They let the impulses, the anger just get to them, and they lash out, and then something like that happens. That's actually how most domestic murders actually happen. In that exact situation is what will happen is, like, a husband will maybe come back from work, get into an argument with his wife. His wife will be yelling at him. The husband is just tired that day. He gets really angry, and he just decides to, take a knife and just stab his wife. Something like that happens. He wasn't thinking about it. He was, at that moment, he was just so angry, and he just decided to do it. He decided to hurt his wife. Not defending that at all, not justifying it at all. What I'm saying is that people let the anger take control of them, and they get really angry at somebody and decide that violence is the correct answer. And unfortunately, situations like this happen. And the exact same situation can also happen in reverse, where, wife could be arguing for husband, and, she could take a knife, get pissed off, stab him, maybe take a bat, hit him in the face, kill him, take a gun, shoot him, maybe run him, maybe he walks outside, gets into a car, runs him over. So there's a number of possibilities, but that is actually how most domestic murders happen. They happen in that exact same situation, is somebody gets angry, and they end up going and, not thinking and killing the person. So this entire situation could have been completely avoided. I agree that Gage made the situation worse. I agree with that 100%. He shouldn't have gone over there. He shouldn't have, said those offensive things to Kalou. But the thing is, Kalou at that same time should have calmed down. Like I said, calm down, have a coffee, chill out, but unfortunately he wasn't thinking, and you saw like the look on Kalou's face, like when Kalou was like looking down, because he's not angry anymore at that point. He realized what he's done, and he realized that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He's going to lose his business, everything that he's worked for his entire life over just because he let his anger get to him. So just think about that. Is the next time that you're angry, just calm down, have a coffee, chill out, take a rest, sit down, do not let the anger get to you, because if you let the anger get to you, you can make a horrible mistake that you're going to regret for the rest of your life.
Masterfully done, Officer Phelps. It is just Officer Phelps, isn't it, lad?
Yes, sir.
Then let me have a word with the Chief of Police, young Phelps. The department needs heroes. A shining, honest face the public can admire. I applaud a man with your talent for unwavering justice. Back to your duties for now, boyo. But here's a piece of advice. Get yourself 2 suits, get them pressed. You'll be needing them.
So Cole gets transferred to traffic at this point now, I think. Your actions have earned you a promotion. Prepare for reassignment, Los Angeles Police Department. Okay, I think that's it for this case. Yep, okay. So we will leave this off here. I'm gonna have, like, one case on each part, like, one big case on each part. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and let me know if you guys like my police commentary, like on the history and like law and stuff like that in between this. Let me know. If you don't like my commentary, I'll try to avoid it and I'll just focus on the gameplay. But just let me know if you like my commentary or not. But it's just, like I said, is like the when I was a kid and I played this game, I didn't really think that much of it. I just thought, Kalou's the killer and case closed. But it was when I got to school and I was like learning about like all these different crimes and crimes of passion. This is a perfect example of crime of passion. And this, like I said, this situation could have been completely avoided. Gage, like I said, was a scumbag, but you can't go and kill somebody. And so Kalou should have just calmed down, and that just would have been the end of it. He wouldn't have had to see Gage anymore. That's it, but unfortunately, you let the anger get to him, and a man is dead, and he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison now. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do drop a like. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.